Hello, everyone, and welcome back to your haunted neighborhood, where the silence isn't empty, it's listening, and the past never stays dead. I'm your host, Jody Bohr. Each week, I share true stories of haunted places, cursed objects, and chilling encounters sent in by haunted neighbors like you. So come closer. You're already one of us. One of our haunted neighbors has a story that just couldn't stay buried, that has found its way to us and is dying to be told. So let's open the door, shall we? Step inside your haunted neighborhood. The snow fell quiet that night, covering the world in silence. But not everything stayed silent. Not this time. Something lost in the snow is still looking for a way home. Tonight's story is called The Boy Outside. Back when I lived in Georgia, Columbus, I lived in this real old house on a property developed back in the late 1800s. So between 15 and 20 years ago, me and my dad are doing stuff around the house. And he's drinking hard because he's a retired Marine. And I'm awake despite the late hour, so he has someone other than Mom to pester with his incessant talking. We're loading the fireplace and the dogs are sleeping. We see the firewood pile is low, so we both go out to grab more firewood. By which I mean mostly me carrying it, because Dad's drinking, so he will probably fall over if he does it alone. It's no longer snowing super hard, but it's still going. And it's really foggy out there. There's a funeral home up on top of the hill beyond the house, past this mid-sized retaining pond, kind of pit that keeps our house from flooding when it rains real bad. And the parking lot of the home has a couple of street lights. From the light nearest to our house, me and my dad see a silhouette out against the snow. It's small, maybe just over 4 feet tall, which reads child. And me and Dad, being the at least halfway decent people we are, start going up to see what it is. Why is there a kid out here at 0 dark 30? And we find this kid. He can't be more than 10, maybe 11 years old. Pale as death, like he's been out in the snow for hours. And all he's wearing is a nightgown. He looks terrified, and he's shaking and just stares at us, not saying a word. Dad sobers up almost instantly and gently tells the kid to follow us. We gotta get him inside. He's gonna freeze to death out here. I agree and reach out to offer him a hand. He recoils away and doesn't touch me, but he nods a bit when we gently invite him in, promise to get him warmed up and maybe something to eat or drink, and follows us down the hill and into the house. His face lights up immediately as soon as he's past the back door and in through our laundry room. He stops shivering and stops looking scared. He just looks calm, content now. Dad and I turn and start to rush off to get him some blankets, towels, and set up a space heater. We had both turned away from him for less than 2 seconds, and I turned back around real quick because I was going to ask him if he wanted soup or maybe some chicken. He was gone. Disappeared. Like a fart in the wind. I grab Dad's arm, and he turns back, and he almost turns as white as that kid was. The kid is completely, 100% gone. We look outside. We see no footprints. The boy was barefoot, but the only tracks were me and my dad's boots. Nothing else. Dad and I stared at each other for a while. Dad was clearly questioning whether or not he'd had some kind of drunk hallucination. Except I was there, And I'd seen the boy too. And I almost never touch booze. So that was definitely not a hallucination. Over the following week and a half, the both of us asked around about a boy in a nightgown. Wasn't until Dad mentioned it to an old Mrs. Funderburk that we got an answer. Sort of. She died at 98. She was only 96 at that point, so she'd been around a long time. According to Mrs. Funderburk, when she was a child and the area was a lot less developed, that way back before she was born, there was an old ghost story about a boy who'd been found dead in a rare Georgia snowstorm not far from where our house was, in nothing but a nightgown. Nobody knew how or why. All anyone had was guesses, but it wasn't uncommon for people to claim seeing a boy, or at least his silhouette in our area in the dead of night during really bad snowstorms. But nobody had ever gotten close to him before. He'd always just run off or disappear into the snow and fog. The best guess that me and Dad could come up with, after Mrs. Funderburk told us all we knew, is that the kid must have gotten locked outside of his house. I can only hope by tragic accident, rather than active cruelty. During some major blizzard, there was a pretty bad one in 1910. But for my part, I always figured it must have been the Great Blizzard of 1899. He just couldn't get back in. Judging by what me and Dad saw, the boy had been pretty frail. He would have frozen to death quickly, but he disappeared when we brought him inside. It's been a while since that happened. At least 15 years. Nobody I've spoken to, including people who used to live in our immediate vicinity, has seen anything like what me and Dad saw. And sometimes, even now, I find myself wondering if that was definitely true, and not just me and Dad having some kind of shared hallucination somehow. Had that kid been there all this time? Was all he wanted was to be invited into someplace warm, maybe somewhere he used to live? And was that good enough? I can still see his face, if I think about it. That half-frozen, scared little face. Did it really take 100-some-odd years or more for someone to care enough to try and bring him out of the cold? Ah, your haunted neighborhood, where every mailbox has a secret, every attic a scream, and every street lamp flickers and lights the way to another spine tingler from one of your haunted neighbors. Snow covered the ground, but it couldn't cover what tragic event came before. This chilling tale stirred something long forgotten. Let's talk about the moments of this story that chilled me to the bone. This story was interesting because it was a shared experience with this person and their father. And even though it says that their father was drinking, they still experienced with someone sober. So you can't really say that it was something, a drunken experience, because they experienced with someone sober. It had to have really happened, right? And also the fact that they went and asked Mrs. Funderburk about it, and she said that back in the day, someone had talked about that they had seen the boy in the nightgown and the silhouette, so it was something that had been seen by other people as well. So that was something intriguing, that it was a shared experience by other people as well. It was also very interesting that they got to experience actually conversing with the ghost and offering to help him and got him to enter their house. Maybe that was kind of, I believe they call it the unfinished business. And when he disappeared, maybe that was what he needed to do. But I think that was something fun, that they actually got to converse with the ghost and interact with him. I don't know if they ever saw him again. It's just something kind of scary that you think, oh, this is just being friendly and nice and helping the child out. And, oh, what are you doing out in the cold? Let me help you. And then you find out, oh, wow, what happened? And they just disappear. But I thought that was creepy. Thanks so much, you guys, for listening. And thanks for wandering these haunted streets with me. I hope you'll come back for the next story. Until next time, see you around the neighborhood.